not the only one that has had serene moments like that, especially not here in Arizona with the sunsets the way that they are. The entire purpose of that intro is to highlight the notion that feelings really do matter. You can say what you want about men needing to hide or shield their emotions. A real man has feelings. The only difference is he knows how to control them, and he knows how to articulate them properly in a way that is not detrimental to those around him. There's a lot of talk about how men need to, buckle down, shove their emotions deep down inside of them. And while there is some merit to that when it comes to stressful situations or jobs that need to be done, a real man does know how to compose himself and articulate his feelings properly. And I think processing through emotions and feelings is such an integral part of being human that why wouldn't men specifically need to do that? I'm already getting way off topic with this episode, so here's the best segue I can provide. So to start off this episode, I did not secure any subject matter experts for this episode despite my efforts, but that does not mean the search is over. I'm likely going to be setting up these episodes in a way that tackles one subject per, whether that be a specific sleep episode, a specific fitness and exercise episode, but I will have to go along with when those subject matter experts are ready to be a part of this project. Despite that, we are still moving forward very well with our current progress. I've charted out a bunch of things that have helped me over the last week, and those are all on pieces of paper, which I will show you in a little bit. But right now, let's go over this week's progress. I'm confident in saying that this past week has been extremely productive, and a huge pivot point in this project was able to get my ass up and go to the gym twice over the past week, which is more than none. So that's a 200% success rate. I went and did my pull day on Saturday, had my rest day Sunday, and then right back to the gym on Monday for legs. Today is Tuesday, and it is already super late, and I know I'm going to miss this workout, which is unfortunate, but it's the way it's going to go today. I definitely feel really good getting back into the gym. I know that there's a lot of mental effort that goes into going back into the gym for the first time in a long time. A lot of mental gymnastics you need to play with yourself. You're kind of dusting yourself off and getting ready for the machines and the weights again. I don't know about anybody else, but I always have that irrational fear that the person at the front desk at your gym is going to go, "Where have you been? Where have you been? You've been slacking, huh?" And it's just equal to the same fear as when you were a kid in a pool and you'd fear that a shark would show up out of nowhere. It's the same deal. Nonetheless, it's still pretty intimidating, at least for me. It's probably not the same for most people, but that's how I feel. The sleep progress has been getting so much better. After putting a lot of focus into it, I've been able to not only go to bed earlier, but wake up earlier and still feel energized. I might not be going to bed on time, according to my schedule, which is at 10:30 or asleep by 10:30. But when I do stay up later, it's nowhere past midnight. And I'm able to get up after 6 or 7 hours of sleep and still be on time in the morning. I've been taking the whole slew of nighttime supplements, including zinc, vitamin D3, valerian root, and melatonin just to help with the process for right now as I start getting back to bed at a regular time. But then again, I don't know why I'm telling you that when I can tell you that. Roll it. Dude, I told you to be cool. I told you to be cool. I am cool. That was the most nerdy. That was the nerdiest thing ever. I'm sorry. Okay, so this is the first attempt of me getting back onto my sleeping schedule. It's already well past the time I was supposed to be starting to get ready for this. It's like 9:50 something at the moment. But here we go. Obviously, I'm going to kind of forgive the time because of the time it takes to film this and the time I had before. So my focus with this is to kind of, again, take my time and feel out each step and really get a sense of what it's doing for me. So it might take a little bit longer than an hour for me to do the whole thing, including the filming process, but let's see how it goes. Okay, so our first step obviously is to put our phone away. And what I used to do is have a charging cable plugged into the wall right there, and it would go right there. I've never had an issue really with it being there other than the temptation of grabbing the phone and interacting with it. So instead of having the temptation of the phone being right there, I'm going to go put it in the bathroom, and hopefully that helps out a little bit. So I have a perfectly good working outlet right here by the sink. Sparks. And I'm just going to leave my phone right here next to the sink. And the idea behind this again is to have my phone so far away so it's not a distraction and an ability for me to stay in bed. Plus what this also allows me to do is put an alarm on here, so I'm forced to get up and walk 17 miles to go turn off the alarm. And I'm not going to like that at first. I don't think I'm ever going to like that, because the point is to not like alarms, but it is ultimately going to be beneficial for that process. And I just set my alarm for 6:30 to allow myself that extra hour while I'm figuring this whole process out again. Usually it's set for 5:30, and that's where it's going to be set from this point on. But 6:30 it is this morning. Now, onto the nice, relaxing part. Ooh. All right. Now that our shower is complete, we move on to normal bedtime stuff, including brushing teeth, taking supplements, and adding a little moisturizer, because I'm cute like that. But here we have some nighttime pills. I did figure out what the mix was, and that is, as of now, 1 valerian root, 2 melatonin, a vitamin D3 supplement, and zinc. Am I out? Oh, crap. That's just gonna have to do. Okay. All right, so we're all wrapped up with the bathroom portion of the nighttime routine, and now we get to go to the bed, do our journals, and drift off to sleep. Best part. Okay. We made it. Okay. There is our to-do list. Very good. Take our old one and just, as the kids say, eat that bitch. Journaling and Bible. Oh look, I already have a pen. Very nice. 10:51 p.m. Now we've got our journal all done. Feeling good. And we're going to continue reading on in the Bible. So let's play some Bible roulette, shall we? Okay. Landed in the book of Daniel. Daniel chapter 2, verse 44. And in the days of those kings, the God of heaven will set up a kingdom that shall never be destroyed, nor shall the kingdoms be left to another people. It shall break into pieces all these kingdoms, and bring them to an end, and it shall stand forever. Just as you saw that a stone was cut from the mountain by no human hand, and that it broke in pieces the iron, the bronze, the clay, the silver, and the gold, a great God has made known to the king what shall be after this. The dream is certain,
and its interpretation sure. Okay, I want to pause it right there because the main thing I wanted to focus on was verse 44. This is the story from Daniel when he's speaking to King Nebuchadnezzar. And Nebuchadnezzar has this whack-ass dream about a statue made of all these metals and materials of earth, and he just can't figure out what it means. He sees the whole thing crumble, all the body parts are made out of different things like metals and clay and earth and stone. And he goes to his wise men and he says, listen, I need to know what this dream was about because it was great. It was a good one. All of the Pharisees are sitting there. It's like, well, King, you have to tell us what the dream was and we can tell you what it's about. And he's like, no, I need you to tell me what this dream was. And the only one that was able to do it because God sent him to do it was Daniel. And I can't remember what his name was. I know that Daniel was renamed. Oh, and right here it goes, and the chief of the eunuchs gave eunuchs. Again, don't know how that's said, so here you go.
Eunuch.
Cool. And the chief of the
eunuch
gave them names. Daniel he called Belteshazzar.
Belshazzar.
But as the rest of the story goes on, Daniel is given this vision by God of the dream and the interpretation from God, and he goes to King Nebuchadnezzar saying, the Lord my God told me your dream, and this is it. It forces Nebuchadnezzar to the ground on his knees, just groveling essentially in front of one of his servants, to the power of God and the ability for him to reveal these things that no one else could have ever known. And how that can apply in my life right now is that I might not know what's going on. I might be having these crazy times and these things that I can't quite figure out yet, but that doesn't mean that God doesn't know what is in store or what I know and what I think, because all of the things that I cannot personally figure out, God knows and understands. And that's all to be said about that. So if you are feeling like you don't know what's going on, or you have no clue what your own mind is doing, give it a little grace and understand that it is for a purpose and it is for a reason that you don't understand these things. In due time, or maybe even never, it's all for a purpose. And it's all for a greater grand design. So with that, I think that's a beautiful place to close. And I didn't pass out this time. That's incredible. So have a good night. We'll see you in the morning. I forgot to pray. That's what I've been missing. I'm supposed to be praying. Lord, I thank you for everything you've brought. I ask that you bring a good night's sleep. Protect me tonight. Keep me safe. It's in your name we pray. In Jesus' name, amen. Okay. All right. I didn't realize that I was missing that part for such a long time. Now we can go to bed. So, good night.
And the success that you saw in that clip really was purely because of this document that I put together for myself. I am an absolute sucker for organization and visual representation of time. And these have really helped me. So in the last episode, we talked about needing to have structure and organization for the following things. That was sleep, diet, exercise, and work. And I've created some things inside of this packet to help me better manage my own time. It's really nice to have a visual guide that you create for yourself, kind of making the separation between boss and employee in your own life, so that when you wake up in the morning or you have something to do, you have the set of instructions already written for you. So let's go in depth and take a look at these. All right, so of course, this needs to start out with a solid weekly schedule. Not to say that all of these timelines will stay exactly the same. I know that work might go over later. or breakfast might be a bit that morning, so we've got to adjust as we see fit. That being said, this is meant to represent more of an idealistic schedule. If I had it my way, this is how I would have it, with the goal ultimately being that we can structure all of our time, energy, events, efforts, all into this schedule. So if we take a look at our first one, we can see that we have dedicated time for sleep, and it is accounting for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 full hours of sleep. Being able to keep track of these hour by hour kind of gives you a good visual number. And notice how some of these times start halfway through that hour time block. What I do to mentally prepare for that is I dissect it in my brain and just kind of meld these two together. So for example, Monday, 5:30 a.m. wake up kind of blends in with the morning routine. And once we move into the morning routine, we can see that there is 2 full hours, pretty much 2.5 full hours when I blend this all together to get the tasks in the morning done, and we'll get there in a little bit. After that, solid 8 a.m. breakfast, work into 9 into 10, so on and so forth until 1 lunch break. You can see that Tuesday is allotted for the man project specifically, and the rest of the spare time that I have is dedicated to capturing the things that go into the episode. We've scheduled in our gym time, we've scheduled in time to relax after each point, and again, this is just a general guide. There may be days where I go over in the gym and I don't have that extra time to relax, or even when it bumps into my nighttime routine. But again, we kind of just have to adjust and flex with the opportunities that are given. Moving on to the more advanced workout tracker, you saw part of it when we kicked off the last episode, but I've since updated it to have a little bit more features. We're still on the same exercise schedule, our legs push and pull respectively throughout their days, and our Sunday for rest. That hasn't changed at all. And then our morning exercise and calisthenics. Now this was something that I did when I was kind of in my prime, when I was doing really well, and I've kind of lost that art in 2024. So we're going to do our best to get back on this. I've been told plenty of times that this is way too much, and I'm doing an excess of things, and that may be true, but we're going to run it again, and I'm going to give it a real true shot to see if that is actually the case. As for our morning exercise and calisthenics, you can see that it starts at 5:50, which allots me 20 minutes from the time I wake up to get up, prepare, and be ready for that day. We start off with our stretch routine. We have a head-to-toe rock climbing routine. This is what I did when I was rock climbing consistently. It doesn't take any more than 5 minutes, as long as you aren't dilly-dallying. Moving on past that, we have our morning walk or run. I know that I'm going to be starting off by walking a mile in the morning, but being able to get those steps in and kind of get your blood flowing is what we're looking for. Shouldn't take more than 30 minutes. If it does, that's going to be a problem. And I also have the backup of skipping the calisthenics section if that does take place. Speaking of that calisthenics circuit, we have a layout for a full body calisthenic exercise that we can scale up and down as we need. The ideal setup for that is to, once I'm done with my walk or my run, return back home. I'm going to have a pull-up bar and all of the necessary items set for this. Going to push-ups, dumbbell squats, pull-ups, tricep extensions, box jumps, sit-ups, dumbbell bicep curls, mountain climbers, and single leg calf raises. These are all things that we can do at home or maximize with dumbbells if we do feel the need to do so that day. I know it says a maximum of 30 minutes. That's only to keep the pace up, to make sure that I'm not just sitting around waiting for the next exercise. It's likely that this is going to take a little bit longer, but we should be ready at 7 a.m. for breathing and relaxing, and that's going to be 15 to 30 minutes of just breathing and resetting and getting ready for our day. These 3 items are very much wishy-washy. I mean, it's an entire hour to get these things done. I know we're going to be slow in the start. I know it's going to be a little bit more difficult to pace that out, but once we get into the flow of things, I really do think that I can get back to where I was. Moving on to the back page, we have a tracker, which I actually need to fill out really quick. We're going to use orange because orange. Week 3 we did no exercise Thursday. We did exercise not on Friday, but on Saturday. Sunday is our rest day. Monday we checked in. Today we did not do any exercise. It's fine. I imagine and anticipate that there are going to be more check marks down this list as we go. So this is a full 52-week, every single day tracker, and you're going to see this theme repeated throughout the rest of the documents. I think being able to visualize, and that will allow me to make better decisions based off of just pure binary yeses or nos that will help me later on or the following year. Moving this one out of the way, we now have our sleep tracker and our routines. This document is going to be extremely, extremely important when it comes to managing our sleep and making sure that we're getting enough time in bed. Moving on to our morning routine, which is just as important as our nighttime routine. After making sure that we have enough sleep, we need to make sure that we get up and use that energy properly. So at 5:30, our morning starts. That again allows 7 hours of sleep throughout the night. And the tasks we need to do in the morning are drink a glass of water, make our bed, change for our workout, do our morning workout routine that we talked about earlier, a quick rinse in the shower, getting our morning supplements in, and getting dressed and ready for that day. 8 a.m. starts our breakfast. We'll cook it, drink our morning tea, and review the tasks that we had set for ourselves that night prior. Hopefully, by setting out the clothes and writing our tasks, this will be super easy to keep track of. And once we have that hour to take care of ourselves and our breakfast, 9 a.m. rolls around and we are ready to get to work and go after that day. And again, you will see a similar pattern on the back for keeping track of these things. We want to make sure we check the box if we get to bed on time. And there's been, I believe, 2 nights that I got to bed on time, and that was last Friday and Saturday, and I believe Wednesday I did as well. But all of these other ones, and we will see about tonight, I sincerely doubt it because I have to stay up and edit this episode, so I'm just gonna chalk that off for right now. Moving on again, did a little research on really basic stuff when it comes to the diet tracker. So it lays out the BMR. I wrote out some information for myself to remember. And if you want to pause and read this at all, go ahead, by all means, go ahead and pause that right there. Essentially what this lays out is just the amount of calories I need to put in per day. I put the guidelines down at the bottom of the things that I really want to focus on. That is eating whole foods, nothing processed, staying below 2,500 calories in a day, and taking in at least 180 grams of protein. As per my body weight, what my estimated lean body weight is, this will be more than enough to pack on some muscle while still losing weight. I'm not necessarily trying to cut, I'm not necessarily trying to bulk, I'm just trying to eat healthier and get a better physique. But I'm going to stay consistent with this. It could change, but I'm going to stick with this and see how it goes. And in the back, of course, there's another lovely diet tracker. So let's just chart these things out really quick. Tuesday, I did pretty good. And the only other day that I really remember eating well was last Friday. Made a decent dinner. Didn't really eat a whole lot for breakfast and had a nice hearty salad for lunch. But again, I'm also not going to BS myself and just put X's for the rest of these because I am not entirely sure what I ate. I do not imagine that I ate very well. Anyways, so it is what it is. And now moving on to our final piece, which is going to help us track our work time. I've decided to make the switch to paying myself on an hourly rate instead of per project, just to keep myself honest with the amount of work that I'm putting in throughout the day. Not only does this provide me a really decent salary if I were to work anywhere else, but it also forces me to put in the time and effort to make sure that I'm dedicating time to projects. If I don't work, I don't make money. That's how the real life goes. And when you own your own business, yes, it's easy to structure it to where you pull as much profit as possible. But I think that running it this way is going to help me maintain an honest perspective on the amount of work that I'm able to do. Now that comes with a caveat that I have to be brutally honest with myself. Am I working? Am I taking time off? And I'm gonna have to find a better way to track that throughout the day instead of just writing it down at the end. But we'll find a system for that shortly. So all of these documents really are empowering me to be able to get control, or at least get a visual representation of the control that I actually have throughout the day. I'm sure that this will help me a ton. And if it proves itself to be beneficial and prove to me that it works, we're gonna keep up with this and hopefully let it guide us to where we want to be towards the end of the year. So we're gonna try these out over the next couple months and really get a taste to see if this works out. So now that I have these documents completely fleshed out, I will let everybody know the progress throughout the next couple weeks. It's gonna be nice to have a set guidelines for myself that I took the time to organize and prepare beforehand. Consistency is still the big word here. Of course, I can make all the charts and make all of the graphs that I want, but unless there's consistent action put in place to make these things happen, I won't go anywhere. And I just have to remember when it comes to certain things, even if I don't want to do it, I have to do it. I know this series doesn't quite have a lot of traction yet. We have gained, I believe, 5 subscribers at this point, and a couple comments throughout a couple videos.
Thanks, Mom.
But regardless, I still would love to see your thoughts and opinions down below in the comments of things that have worked for you, things you would like to see me try, because again, I'm going to be your guinea pig here, so give me as many suggestions as you like, and I can experiment and test them out. And with that, I'll see you all next week.